Is everybody here?
Yeah, but I got to see my band, and that's
Which is
really,
huge.
that's why I wouldn't leave until halftime, because I had to see the band.
My son just made the Ohio State University High School Honor Band.
Oh.
Yeah. And the OU High School Honor Band.
Band.
800 kids are nominated for OSU and they let 300 in.
That is amazing. Congratulations. Great share.
He's sophomore.
He's a sophomore, first year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Fantastic.
My son is 12, he's in 7th grade, so he's gonna start marching band next year.
Yeah.
And he was a band aide this year, so he is all it's marching band. He's so excited.
It is so good to see those kids that don't play sports find their little.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm chaperone of because there's 8 kids.
She'll actually switch. So she.
OSU only 3 kids from our. They have a lot of like guys, but 3 guys.
So like what band?
For the OU, I'm going to stay this weekend. For OSU, I haven't been asked. Cameron, I don't know. If she will. I was
Which is great. And
Yes, they're like their finales on Sunday. It's they have, there's 3 different bands, so I don't know which one.
And
oh, yeah.
I know, being a band parent, so exciting.
And so went.
That's their big first show last night. I was really excited.
Then we also they even had, got on this, had an active game with both bands. And then we were walking down the street there.
I don't think he's.
They
I
just.
don't think he's material. He's like one of those that likes to like the
And then
dance.
Jake, what? It was so awesome. And then I went down to
He definitely, yeah, he comes to Virginia.
it's got.
Yeah, well, that means I can go to friends.
Yeah,
Band.
I don't know if they have bands. I'm sure they do. Hey, I can help.
But then you get out on the radio, then you see.
Well, I take pity on the committee who meet immediately before the board meeting. I think so.
Because you don't want to be
Yeah. The numbers.
How was she in town? It was good. She came right on.
the day before board next. Yeah, well, that's nice, that's great.
Oh my gosh, we're already got to see her great granddaughter twice.
No.
Oh, twice.
And we'll see her again on Friday.
That doesn't mean maybe. Let me tell you.
That's right.
You're never gonna win.
No, that's great, that's
I
fantastic.
won't be babysitting.
All the time, right, right. Right.
Absolutely.
My granddaughter went down for that school at Ohio State. Not for other place in Tennessee, and then a place in.
I did not know.
Yeah.
That's my brother named Brad. Brad.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah, when you ask Chris, you know.
Okay. Is your twin brother?
Yeah.
Illinois this weekend.
Did he play-
And that was the one that had.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm not really.
My brother played.
She won't hear until.
But
That's right.
In a door.
Never had
I've
that.
been in town, first and
Odd position.
and,
No.
you know, at the end, they play with tennis and whatever. Which of course gets no.
Oh, no.
That's just the way. it is.
Really trying.
Are we ready to get this party started? The Celtics play tonight. We need to.
We should have started with that.
I don't know if anybody noticed.
I did notice you have a new shirt.
I did not.
That's how we started the
I
convo.
I was gonna wear it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Like bad news.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
We are.
and gavel, boom.
never going to, oh, I have a gavel for you.
No, that's all right, we're good.
We don't need it, just knock on the table.
That's what I did.
And I also have maybe playing for my.
All right.
Okay.
Watch out.
Boom.
I know, right?
The hammer's been dropped. Thank you, Lynn.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Barb,
Here.
Karen,
Yes, here.
Tracy. Yes. Sue.
Yes.
It's, I looked up like, what in the world? And Tina.
Okay. All right, so we have the call to order. Any public participation?
You have two managers with us today. We have two line members.
I had their number.
And Tanya sends her regrets. She's got a conflict, but she wanted to let you all know how much she appreciates you and what you're doing.
Oh, cool. Okay. No public, all right, next on my list, Heather's gonna tell us how her week has been so far. Heather, you wanna- I'll get it.
Heather.
I said something about it being, I was like, tomorrow's Friday, and I'm like, wait, no.
No, yeah.
Okay, I'm just kidding.
So Heather, if you ever doubted about wanting to be here in person instead hiding behind the camera.
But she asked for me to sit next door, so I couldn't say no. Okay. So
Hang in there,
we
Heather.
approval of the minutes for the October 2022 Records Commission and regular board meetings.
I move. I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue. Yes. Tina.
Yes.
Okay, Lynn, correspondence, and you sent us, so I have a few.
I did, and I have a few extra copies if anybody needs, just so you can pass them on. Public library funds continues to come in strong. I think last month we had mentioned that we had already met our goal, and so the 78, nearly $500,000 that we got in for October or for November, or will be getting in, or whenever.
You haven't seen it yet.
Okay. It's just icing, right? Icing on the cake.
Yep.
So that's nice. We did receive a thank you card from the Brown County Chamber of Commerce for hosting, and actually it's a hugest thank you goes to Heather and her couple of staff members who helps with local logistics and making sure that all of the chamber members were well taken care of at the monthly meeting. And we even had several people who went, "Oh, you've got a library app and you can do self-checkout and you can," yeah. So there were some people, and we also had some people who brought in grandchildren and signed them up for library cards. So
Very cool.
being a host was worth all of the effort.
How many, just out of curiosity, how many members of the chambers are active? Is it a pretty big group or?
So monthly member meetings can, now that pandemic we're rebounding from that, anywhere from 35 to 50 plus, right, at a monthly meeting, but it depends, some of them are 8 a.m., some of them are noon lunch meetings, and those noon lunch meetings are more highly attended than the 8 a.m. ones, but I'm thinking we have 250 members now, and we've just had a boom in the last 4
That's all
5, 6
local
months.
businesses. Wow.
Yeah. And some outside of the county as well who do business.
Business,
Yeah, absolutely. Good questions. And then Ohio Library Council, it's actually been kind of a slim time since our last meeting. But they really are working on making sure that we're involved in this Appalachian funding, the big amount of money that the governor sent aside. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then they also announced some grants through the American Library Association for better serving people with disabilities. And every time an announcement about a grant comes along, I go, okay, who's going to kill me if I say we need to apply for this? Heather's gonna kill me. So, I'm looking at that thinking that would be something that we really should be thinking about to help support serving that clientele in our libraries. But we'll see how the rest of this year plays out with other grants that may or may not be awarded.
You guys have like canned checks that you could use for other grants.
Well, and I do, we
Yeah,
pull
I was
from
gonna say, yeah,
things and,
because otherwise
okay, we can use this and tweak it a little bit.
Exactly, right.
Yes. But some of them have such a different focus that you end up going, okay, well, we can pull the statistics, but we really have to write something entirely different.
Yeah.
So. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
Yeah.
On to Miss Sarah with the financial report.
Okey-dokey. Appropriation summary report, summary report, September versus October. Under the left-hand side, library services salaries for the month of October was $61,703.18. That's down $3,476 from September. Employee fringe benefits, $16,113. That's up about $1,052. Purchased and contracted services, $33,320.78 for the month of October. That's up $23,374. Library materials, information and supplies, $19,560, and then supplies $2,033. That is down about $4,000. September versus October, for the total general expenditures, we're up about $16,796.
Is that because of expenses or?
As you'll see, there's just peaks and valleys of when we pay more things some months, and since it's getting so close to year end, we're paying a lot more stuff. Yeah. My month-to-date expenditures for October out of all funds, $300,114. That's going to include that $80,000 transfer and then that advanced credit back in to from general into
From Georgetown and general.
yeah.
So the transfer in and then the advance.
Yes. Bank reconciliation report. My receipts for October, $92,772. Payments, $164,781. I had an adjustment for $117.75. That those were Georgetown offered $100 towards the t-shirt, and then I had a staff employee pay for extra t-shirts. Bank balance report. On the right-hand side, you're going to see a difference of $200,000. That is the Star Ohio transfer that I did. So I took money from People's Bank and put it into Star Ohio, like we had talked about. So that has been completed. Outstanding payments for October, I have one outstanding check, and that's like always an employee, Hannah Taylor. That's the only outstanding check for.
She doesn't need the money?
I guess not. You should just donate it to her. Thank you. I looked already. My pretty eyes. Cash flow summary, public library fund, the PLF for the month of October was $79,837.52. Services provided to other entities, we received $6,890. Other receipts, $1,626, giving our grand total revenue $88,354. The general fund expenditures I kind of already mentioned. So our total general fund expenditures $202,731.
So that even with that additional transfer that we had not,
That 80,000.
that 80,000, if you look at that spendable balance there, that's almost in the middle of the page, a little bit to the right. Even with our minimum fund balance, we still got almost $60,000.
And we're going to make a couple more things for the before the year is over.
Right, but those are accounted for in there, so.
Yeah, that's right, 210,000. Cash flow summary by fund, my total expenditures. This does not show the transfer was $164,654. The October 2022 expenditure reconciliation report, payments, $90,055.49. My two payrolls, the October 14th payroll was $30,343.47. The October 28th payroll, $32,004.63. The OPERS, retirement, $8,728.74. Medicare board share, $872.79. Health insurance, board share, $4,385.34. You'll see what we paid, local taxes. Health insurance, employee out of pocket was $1,090.80. I had the transfer out of $80,000 and I had the advance out for $55,460. So that took care of all of that. So total expenditures, $300,114.74.
Remind me, again, I didn't pick this up, what the 80,000 was for again.
At the beginning of the year, when we set our appropriations for the year, we always leave a certain amount of money to transfer from the general into different
Okay.
funds. So that's what that is. Yeah. Yeah. Next month, you're gonna see some more transfers because we allotted 210, but we've only transferred 80 so far.
And the 80,000 was specifically because we knew that by the end of the year, we would not have any more insurance reimbursement for board and so that we needed to cover that.
Okay.
Because the auditor didn't want that advance hanging. there.
Yeah.
Any questions about the payments? Payment report? I don't think there's anything crazy on there. Oh, I didn't make notes on this. Month to date expenditures, like I mentioned, $300,114.74. I'm happy to report I have no more 2021 POs. I was allowed to close that library design, but I have a lot of 2022, so we're gonna. December.
We're working on clearing.
Gonna be
that.
busy. So open POs, 164,947, and the majority of that, well, between the general and then Georgetown and capital projects. So
Is that mostly final orders for the branches? Is that?
We're sorry about that.
I know you're not sorry.
Heather and I were just looking, I still have like April from January, like we have a lot on the books, so Mary and I are gonna be.
Publishing world has not been keeping up. Huh?
Well, I think everybody's short staffed. I think it's across the board, so between Dawn, Cheryl, and me and Marion, we're gonna have to
Just get rid
figure
of
stuff
them.
out, yeah.
Then let the managers know, so if they want to reorder, they
Yeah.
can do that after the first of the year.
Any questions? Thank you.
I need a motion, please.
I move we accept the financial report.
1 second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen, yes, Karen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
and Tina.
Yes.
All right, next on the agenda, Star Ohio follow-up.
I think I kind of followed up with
We
it.
did,
Yeah.
yeah, anytime it was really, was there anything funky about the process that you wanted to tell them about?
No, no, so I've never made that transfer before. Well, they call it what do they call it? Kind of like the stock market, a trade. So I made the trade and then I expected my bank account to be lower $200,000 and they put money from Star Ohio into our bank account. And I was like. That wasn't the verbiage that I gave and I don't know the verbiage yet. So I called and they're like, that happens all the time. So when we get audited, I had them do it in 2 different transactions so they could see exactly what had happened. They put the 200 in, they took the 200 out, and then they took the 200 out again.
Oh, that's
So
good.
it's always something. So
Yeah, well, if they find that happens all the time, it sounds to me like they maybe need to redefine or rename the transaction.
and I made it very clear that I had never done this before and that I wanted to take from my primary account and put it into Star Ohio.
Now, do they have like a monthly report of interest gain?
Yes, yes, yes.
Quarterly, okay.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, I do a bank reconciliation and I keep that all
I'm
together.
curious
Yeah.
to see how much we start earning.
Yeah, it started out, it might be in the. it might be- or it's that one.
I think it earns more than the bank does.
Yeah.
I guess in the bank.
I'm like excited to see like in 6 months, how much more we made and
Oh,
we
yeah.
sit in the bank.
I probably won't see it, the October won't reflect it, but in November. Maybe. Maybe I was wrong. I'll bring that in, I'll bring that up at the next meeting.
Yeah, like,
I'll bring up,
it's a few months to
Yeah.
see like what the percentage.
yeah, I'll bring October statement compared to November statement, as long as it was a good,
Yeah.
it all depends on the stock market too, so.
Oh, yeah. I can't even look at my 401k.
My husband follows it very closely.
In this
Yeah,
year.
apparently we had some good days last
We did.
Friday was a good day, I think, yeah.
Okay. Motion to approve the 2022 final appropriations as presented.
Here. What might be some- Heather, do you want one? I didn't send one down another sheet.
Yes.
So you'll see once it makes its way around,
Are there 2 pages or the?
it's front
Oh,
and
front
back.
front
I was saving the trees.
Good. Good, so watch this.
Yeah,
So the 1 page.
yeah, just one, one page per person.
You guys-
I'm sharing.
Oh, sure.
Sharon,
I was gonna say,
Sorry, Heather.
I didn't keep one, so I can take this.
I think I made 10 copies. You get your own now, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, the top is a spreadsheet that I put together, a breakdown of all the funds and the final appropriations. And then the next report is called a comparison of budget and appropriations. I'm looking at that final appropriation. It's the second to the last column. And I just literally matched, yep, I matched it all up. So, I decreased, fund 4001, the Sardinia expansion. At one point, it was 750,000 higher. I, reduced that because we didn't receive any funds. And then I decreased the Shelton Trust. We thought we would get, the Shelton Trust was gonna, be evaporated and we were gonna receive those funds and create a new fund, but that did not happen. So hopefully you don't see that happening.
I've not
here.
heard
Okay.
peep, so I would expect that it's not going to be until next year.
Perfect. So those are the 2 things that I did to clear up the funds and make it the final appropriations.
Any questions for Sarah? If not, I need a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you, Tracy.
That's it.
Second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen, Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Tina.
Okay, on to the 2023 temporary appropriations as presented.
Here's my favorite budget color, goldenrod. Actually, I prefer green just because it means more money, right?
Oh, yeah.
But, so this is typically what I give you this time of year. It's set up in a way that Sarah can then easily transfer to the UAN account. And it basically sets up a structure so that January 1, we have the ability to pay bills, to bill, all that kind of thing. Because obviously we are not going to on January 1 know what the actual balances at the end of the year are, and at this time, obviously, we've still got a month and a half worth of spending and revenues yet to come in. So it's an estimate only. I do try though, when I take the springtime budget that I have to submit to the Budget Commission, I try to use that as the basis and make sure that we come out in the black and not, have it looking in the red. Makes it a little bit easier to adjust when we have final numbers. So I try to be a bit conservative with the public library funds, thinking it's still going to run, as it should at least. And then everything else is just, based upon, well, I hope that sometime next year we might be able to do something with either staffing or wages and so that, that's really what it is, and setting up the different special funds that we anticipate needing to have. So that you'll see the Shelton Trust is back in there, Georgetown Renovations is still there, Sardinia is back in there, money's back in there. Hoping that we can maybe actually do something with that. And I also included, just for kicks,
I've seen that.
The library's accelerating learning grant that we have not heard yet about, you know, they seem to be a little bit behind in their timeframe for making awards, the Department of Education. But I put together a spending plan in case we actually do get money, because it will happen. I mean, they are targeting before the end of this month to make awards, which means that some of the money, they actually said you can start spending it right away. But I don't see us spending any in this fiscal year, but we would want to get started on it right away in January. So that's kind of a placeholder. Everything else is pretty standard, our technology fund, our capital improvements fund. So, you know, unless there are any other detailed questions, we will revisit this, and I think it's usually February when we make an actual permanent, you know, and we make all those adjustments based upon you. So
if I'm reading this correctly, you've got 2.18 million, and this year we have 2.3. So it's a 200,000 less. Is that just being conservative?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
conservative on the revenue side, but kind of leaving expenditures, because truthfully, we should be spending that amount of money to run these libraries the way they should be run. So
it kind of gives you a
little, yeah.
Any other questions for Lynn?
Sorry, I'm in numbers.
No, this is good. This is
No,
I think it's great. Things to learn, refreshes. Yeah.
If not, we'll need a motion, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy. Yes. Sue.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, on to the executive director's report, starting with the building report and statistics.
Yeah. So did you look at those cute pictures from Halloween?
That's in the sunshine. That's in the
Is that-
sunshine.
Oh,
Wow.
That's me. That is. And, you know, and this is just one building. I mean, every one of the branches did something and welcomed people in for Halloween, and, you know, they're all the usual kinds of other things going on. We've got baby goats sitting out on our road, and yeah, that was really fun to pull into the parking lot and go, it's bouncing around. But the little kids, I mean, they were just.
And Megan.
The goat kids or the kids?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
funny.
Good job, no fun.
So, I don't know if there was anything, I mean, you guys are the ones who read the building report and then have questions that I typically am not so good at answering. So you've got a couple of them. There's the big brains, if you want to do that, or even just have them tell you anything you might want to hear that's not on the report.
So 141 participants and 147, is that a big number or a good number?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think those are both of my branches, right? That one was starting out.
Yeah.
We typically hope and have seen prior to COVID 200 for the trick or treat trail at Sardinia. We moved it inside, which is the only reason I think we had a little less than 200 because it was raining. that
Yeah,
night.
it did.
One of those cases where there's not a lot to do in Sardinia, so the library, steps up again, partnered with the park. They actually waived turned on the electric fee, and we were amped to do it at the park behind us, but with the rain, we moved it inside. But people are really excited to see that. With this particular one, we had a patron dress up as the Tin Man.
Oh, very cool.
Bring himself and participate as a volunteer. We had a lady reach out to us and say, I'm a clown and I do balloon animals. Can I come to your trick or treat trail? Please.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing.
People too. We literally did our battle and the kids were there, so.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Heather?
So something interesting that I did put on there is Adams County Public Library.
Oh,
They
yes.
contacted me and asked if they could come and visit one of our story times, and they brought all their programmers from all the branches. And it was a big one that day too. I think it was one we had 60 some people or whatever.
Oh, my
Um,
goodness.
and they asked all these questions and then they shared ideas. It was a really good learning experience for both of us.
Oh,
So
that's
that was
great.
Very collaborative.
It is. Well, and it's one of those things too that, you know, I can't remember how whoever in Adams County heard about what Adriana was doing with her literacy kits and her, you know, every story time is an alphabet letter and she goes throughout the whole alphabet and they do it. She does music, she does obviously the stories, they do crafts, they might have goats running around because it's the letter G week, you know. So, but that was something that another library system went, oh, you know, how are you getting all of these people here? What's going on? And, you know, I think right at this very moment, you know, what Adriana is doing at the Mount Orb Library with that age group is that's where we want to be. You know, it's the focus on literacy. It's the focus on all of the different kinds of things that kids need to stimulate learning and make them well-rounded. And, you know, it's not just bringing in numbers, it's presenting in very high quality.
That's great. She's the one that did the presentation.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Yes, it
That
was.
was
It also builds a foundation for kids too, you know, like learning at that young age, that's just part of growing up. And then, you know, continuing that. in the
Yeah.
moment.
Something else unique that Phil got to do, which I had forgotten about until I was just thinking in my head, and I think it's on the report, is that we actually were asked by a homeschool mom if we would do mock interviews with her children. And at first, we thought they were coming to interview us, and it wasn't until, so we're like, oh, yeah, sure, they can ask us some questions. It wasn't until a few more exchanges right before they came that we realized, no, they wanted to be interviewed, and we were like, oh, okay, so we pulled up some of our library assistant questions, and simultaneously, one sibling went this way, another sibling went this way, one of our staff went that way, one of our staff, and they actually got interviewed so they could get job experience, and that was pretty collaborative.
Yeah,
And it was just,
that's great.
how cool was that?
You know, one of the things, because I graduated from Thomas More College, and one of the things they offered in their program for seniors was informational interviewing. Are you guys familiar?
Not by that name, yeah.
Well, it might be different, but so they partnered with businesses across greater Cincinnati so that the seniors can go interview executives at different businesses to get that experience of driving somewhere, to get that experience of being all nervous, going up to the 15th floor, sitting down with an executive, asking questions. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And the OSU Extension does a similar program, and they did all ages, and I can't remember, I think it was this past spring, but you know, time flies and you kind of lose track. And I was actually one of the interviewers for that, but they had like 3 specific job descriptions, you know, mock jobs, they were not real ones, but realistic for anything that might be through 4-H or that kind of thing. And it was really good. I mean, you came in and saw these young people prepared for this, you know, and it was neat. And you gave them feedback. It was a really good.
The H Club actually prepped, because I think we had 4 or 5 from our club.
Okay,
that
could
did that.
be, yeah.
And that was really a good experience.
Yeah, that would be a neat program for the library to offer.
So I think we need a board volunteer to help spearhead that.
Oh.
Heather.
You guys.
No, I just think that would be
Yeah.
really, really neat because most high school kids have no clue.
No.
And I still remember,
That's
you know,
still, that's
our
still one of
kids,
my granddaughter's weakest things is interviewing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I still remember like when our kids would go on their first interview, it's like, well, what are they gonna ask me? And what is, and you know, as a parent, you're like, well, they're gonna ask this and this,
Mm,
and every place is different.
It is, yeah.
You know, what a neat program, yeah.
One of the things that Brooke had come up with, and it was supposed to happen in March of. We were doing adulting 101, and that was one of our sessions. Was like, oh, I should use it. Yeah, we had all kinds of really cool programs. Oh, so.
Yeah, we talked about it, actually, the interviews with these kids, and they were like teens, they were tweens. And that's it kind of struck up that maybe we should start doing some of those adulting 101 classes, because, you know, this was their first time ever doing it. Mom brought them in and they were like on their own, and we, you know, had to ask them what their experience was, what was their education, what do they feel like they're good at, what are their attributes, and it was as if they were going to work at the library. But what was really cool about it that we didn't expect is the staff, once they left and their patrons here, it's like, that so-and-so is a go-getter, like they could kind of serve more than one purpose.
And you know, something that age group really struggles with is eye contact.
Yes.
That's so important,
Mhm.
you know, during interview, and most teens struggle with that. So little tips and tricks like that would be helpful.
And if you guys do it, because our 4-H club, like we did, we prepped them. I did a little workshop with them, and we actually talked about how to build a resume, tell your story. So.
Yeah, that would be a neat series, to do, you know. This
I mean,
session.
I think I'm gonna
You're going to learn how to iron.
Yeah.
On the checkbook,
Yeah.
was one we talked about, yeah, or like writing checks, paying.
paying bills.
Paying bills.
Right.
Budgeting, making a budget.
So Tracy, my son went to the eye doctor by himself the first time. He's 16, so I. It was like step by step, everything he had to do, and he's like, what do I have to do now? Oh, I have to do this.
I think he's on a list every day. Today I had his list and he left his book bag and his jacket on the table. And I said, go hang that up with the coat rack. He said, it's not on my list. Go put it away.
Didn't think I had to get that specific.
Right?
Yeah. So if there's nothing else on the building report, we'll move on to the statistics. And October tends to be a busy month, and you know, the numbers look very healthy to me. One of the things that I point out is that the materials discarded is a little bit less than usual, but you know, pretty much people were done getting ready for book sales, so there was a little bit of that in combined with, you know, there are so many holiday programs, the Halloween programs, and other things going on, and you know, it's virus season, and so we're starting to get, we've already started to get, you know, hit by that. So yeah, and then the other that I was looking at were the patron accounts and the number of physical cards added. And my best guess, without going through them, actually looking at, you know, those individual registrations, is that they were tied to the Seasons Reading Program, which is our fall reading incentive program to keep the kids reading outside of their school day, and they get to earn their little merry money and spend it at the Santa shops later. So, and that's really about it, other than the fact that it's really nice to see that Georgetown meeting room is now open for business, so we're actually seeing them. Yes.
What's the virtual programs that you guys do?
So you should go on our YouTube page
Okay.
and see, we have one staff member who was brilliant at making storybooks into a virtual experience. She does sound effects, and I mean, it really is. It's not just somebody sitting there turning the page, reading the story. She does a Hannah does a fabulous job. And so that's the big part of it. I don't think we had any special ones that were virtual.
I don't think so. She is producing them on the regular. If you go- she did one about Veterans Day and the poppy and all that. So there's one of those on there. Gustavo, the ghost, is a really good one that she just did. That's getting a lot of attention because she changed her voice in that to be creepy like a ghost when he's talking to himself and he's keeping himself up with confidence. It's very cute like Halloween. So go on there and check them out. And, but yeah.
Yeah, that's primarily, during the height of the pandemic, we did more things that were all virtual. And that's what that category is for, is to handle anything that's, or a Facebook Live event or something like that, yeah. Okay. And I think that's all I have to say about it. I mean, we do pass along the chat statistics for you, so you can just see it was a pretty slim month in terms of chat events, but there was some really, I think there was one. No, it wasn't on that one. I can't remember what it was particularly that I was thinking about, but it'll come to me. That's good.
Okay, then on to announcements, Lynn.
Okay, wow. And I have some copies of that as well, if anybody needs any copies of the announcements page, I've got a couple. Well, actually I have one because I don't have one for myself. So not a huge amount going on with facilities, except for, I think it was maybe Monday morning when Amber had a leaking spigot outside at Sardinia, and there was a funky noise going on in the mechanical room.
Yeah, the end of that.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's
A battery for one of our.
Thank you.
Wow.
No,
yeah,
we're good.
battery for a surge protector of that for mechanical.
Okay.
So there were those little things, but fortunately, all of those were very easily, changed out a 9-volt battery, and somebody actually, apparently it looked like it burned the spigot and then maybe not shut it all the way. Or, so.
But you need a key to do, or like a tool.
Yes, how that might happen, I don't know. And then in your packets, you've got the community engagement report. And these, of course, are all of the different organizations that we regularly have representatives attend and we participate in. I don't necessarily have any questions about any of those things that were done, or if either of you have anything to say about any of the groups that you think they should know about that we haven't covered. If not, we'll keep on going through the list, right? So we also some of the funding opportunities that were out and about before are still out and about because there was no resolution at this point in time. I actually went into the E-rate portal and sent a message to a reviewer about our emergency connectivity fund, because that was the one where they gave us a year's worth of reimbursement for the hotspots, and then more money became available, so they opened up another round, and we applied back in April, I believe it was, and we heard nothing. I mean, there's zero, but we know that they're making funding commitments, and so, of course, we also know that, I don't know, there was like $8 billion available, and some 12 billion was requested, or so. I mean, there was less money to go around this time. So, but I haven't had a response back. So apparently, we just have not gotten to the, they've got the 90% reimbursement people level, and they've got the 80. They're working on the 80%, and we're at the 70%. So. We'll see, but that's why that one is still out there. That's not a mistake. We're still waiting to hear from them. We got the Cook funding for the regular programming. That was great. We talked about the fact that the Department of Education still has not announced awards for the libraries. They set aside $5 million for libraries, and that one has not been announced yet, but there's probably no way they should be going after, making these after the the end of this month. I mean, we're supposed to have it done the first of this
How can
month.
you start?
I don't want to set up. December.
Nobody wants.
Well, here's the good thing. This is a reimbursing grant.
Oh. Okay.
So
Bring it
if we
on.
don't spend any money in December,
Don't get me-
we don't have to set up a fund, right? So there we go.
Don't tell anybody.
And then we've been talking about the Appalachian money, you know, that's huge, so what, $500 million of money that's being set aside for Appalachian counties, and it's being referred to now as the Appalachian Community Grant Program. So you may have heard me talk about the fact that Ohio Library Council has really been trying to make sure that we, as libraries, are participating in this, and that we're looking at ways to help that money come to our libraries and our counties. And I've been kind of discouraged, you know, for several weeks, because everybody, I mean, I'm talking to everybody because they say it needs to be regional, you know, you can't be just the library because you won't score high enough on the rubric, you know, to get any money. And it just seemed like there was nobody anywhere who was willing to do anything other than some travel and tourism things. But the county came through, and the commissioner's office, you know, is leading the charge. And yesterday I turned in a request. I think last month I gave you a one-pager that I'd given to OLC about what we could possibly do with libraries. And I fleshed that out some and passed that along. So what the county is doing is taking all of these proposals from whoever in the county wanted to submit something and looking at them for, I'm assuming, eligibility and all, so that they can wrap them into a grant application for the planning grant, because they're getting planning grants, and then next year they'll be doing actual, you know,
So they're,
stuff on the ground.
they want to see what your plan is before they give you the money for the plan.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
That sounds.
Yeah, well, and this was kind of disappointing to hear, was that, you know, they were saying, we want you to have this ready before you get the planning grant, because we want you to use the planning grant to like do site testing, and, you know, if you're gonna build something, and I'm thinking, but we need the help. We all counties need the help assessing what we've got to say, this is a reasonable way to approach it. And, so I'm hoping somewhere in that mix, the fact that the state has actually set aside some money in this whole initiative to hire planners that will be free to anybody who wants them. So if we can get them to help us maybe with that, okay, we submitted this planning grant, we maybe got the planning grant. But now we really need somebody to say, okay, if you want to do these things, you shouldn't do it there and there, you should be doing it here and there. And this is the best, most efficient way to do
So
it.
it's like a two-step process.
Yeah.
So if we get past phase one, then we could get the planner to come in.
Well, and we could have a planner assist even if you don't get the
Oh,
planning
really?
grant.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
because the planners are free, and so if we didn't get the planning grant, which I is not likely that they will get something, because they set aside $200,000 for each county to make sure that Cleveland didn't get all the planning,
Right.
you know, that kind of a thing. But if you've got multiple proposals coming from a county, we're vying for the same planning money. And I think that was one of the things that the commissioner's office realized, was that, you know, we better do this at our level so that we aren't, you know, fighting for that same pool of money.
Good
We
idea.
can actually efficiently use $200,000 or whatever it is to do it. So I agree with that to them, and you know us, libraries play well with everyone, right? We share, we play well, we don't care if we're the ones who get the notoriety for things. And so I basically said, you know what, these community centers where we can do multiple things and help, you know, provide space for working remotely and telehealth and whatever it is, you know, job skills development. They don't have to be in the libraries. Now, it would make sense for them to be in the libraries, but they don't have to be. So, you know, I kind of threw it in there to say, please include, our concept in this whole picture of what you're doing. That I also, probably stupidly, but I also said, I'd be willing to help if you guys need help with anything. And because I
When I do that.
I know, I thought, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this? But, it's a huge project. And we have one person in our economic development office, and
Oh, my
we've got
goodness.
one, administrative executive in the commissioner's office.
Yeah.
They can't be expected to be able to do all of this and do everything else. And so I'm hoping that, we'll, for all of us, the whole county, I hope it will grow into something really good.
Now, is that 200,000, is that based on a yearly review, or is that a multi-year commitment?
That's a one-time, you need to spend that money within this first year of this grant program, because the next round where the development money is, and you have to be ready to submit that grant and get the money, because I think it's end of 2024, or that year 25, 26 maybe. It's short time
So
frame
you get 200,000, you gotta come up with your plan, submit it, and then be considered for the
for the next,
For the
yes,
next round.
yeah. And yeah, you could not get the planning grant, but then get a development grant, or you could get the planning grant, but not get a development grant. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm aware that in the travel and tourism area, they're looking at a multi-county bike trail, on the river, and just bunches of other things that they want transformational, they want visible, they want all these kinds of things, and there are lots of ways to do that, but
Bike trail sounds awesome.
yeah, so there it is. And I think everything else we already talked, we didn't actually, we did not talk about staff development day. And there is a packet for each of you here, if you want one, and the individual packets are, with the little brochure there. So we had our annual staff training, and this year we had it at Chatfield College, which is a really nice change of pace. And we didn't have our usual holiday meal with Anita Ranford catering, but we had Chick-fil-A, and that was, I think.
Okay, I saw that. There is no Chick-fil-A anywhere near here.
Milford.
Milford or Eastgate.
Yeah.
Milford's close.
They delivered it?
Milford did, yeah.
I don't know if they delivered, but.
They sure did, and
It's really So, our staff development team spent a lot of time kind of, exploring, because we also had explored a food truck, we explored Chipotle, doing something else when, for whatever reason, Anita, I don't know if she was not available. I'm not sure. Couldn't remember what the reason was that we switched our usual wonderful, carb-laden holiday meal, but Chick-fil-A was good. And we had some really good programs. One of the things we do every year at this time is we have our risk management person from the Ohio Plan come and do a sexual harassment training. We actually has we hand out our policy. He goes over things. He does scenarios. It was good. It's good to hear it every year and be reminded about it. We had Becky Cropper from OSU Extension, or from Brown County Educational Service Center come, and she did some leadership training. I think that was after lunch, so I don't know if we were all kind of, giddy. It was the Chick-fil-A brownies and the wonderful cake. They surprised me with a cake with a 25-year. That was really nice, but it was really eye-opening because it was very quick, and there are a couple of pages in your packet about the looking at general personality types as north, south, east, and west. And
Really cool.
it was very cool. It led to a lot of laughter, a lot of you're that, and you're not one of those, you should be at this table, kind of thing. But discovering that, not only do we maybe see ourselves a little bit differently than others do, some of us had a really hard time. I'm like, oh, I am a north. And I'm a south sometimes, and I'm a west sometimes, and I'm having a pretty equal mix of those things. And I think that we learn to take on roles when we need to take on roles and be to people what they need to have. At least that was my takeaway, but I think people learned some things and had some real fun with that. And Becky's activities were very fun. I think we put one, if you go back through our Facebook page, we
There was a little video.
there was a little snippet of it, yeah, so the video. Yeah, it was just, yeah.
Were you self-identifying?
Well,
Were you
that's-
self-identifying or did you answer a little quiz to try to?
there really wasn't.
We just
It was, she gave descriptions that we had to decide which one do we really most fit into. You know, I'm a thinker and I'm a ponderer, and I would have liked a little more time to actually digest. Who is this person on the page? Is that me? But, you know, we had to get moving and. keep
So
things
that
going.
makes you a Sal.
I get, no, I don't think. I think I told her, I said, well, you know, if one table only has two people, I'll join that one just so that they don't feel alone, you know, and, but I do recall saying something about you South people causing too much trouble, and the Wicked Witch of the East here is gonna put it. So.
I identify in southeast is where.
That way,
Can be in mid correct.
yeah, so it was very good. Yeah, and that's, I think that hits the highlights and probably more than the highlights, but, it sounds like fun. It was a good day, and I think that staff were happy. Those who have been through it before were happy to have that kind of normalcy, again, and it was a good space. It was much more room than we have in any of our libraries, and it was a lot less effort. Because we weren't moving library furniture around, then having to put it back together so that the library could open the next day, and it was good.
Did they let you go there for free?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, actually, I don't think I've seen an invoice from them yet. Okay. Did you? Okay. Well, we did, yes, we did pay, but we also used their welcome center, and then we used their academic building.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
And we had really good feedback from the staff.
Yes.
I was curious at what kind of feedback we'd have about the travel, and they were, I think it was, because it was such a beautiful day.
It was.
You know, we could move around.
Thinking out of your normal environment.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, it kind of opens people up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Any committee reports?
You met.
Look at where she's going.
Yeah,
We met, we talked, it'll be in your packet next month. Hey,
There
we go.
Right, that was
I will
great.
give you just a tiny preview. One of the things that came out of all of our meetings with staff back in the spring, early summer, whatever that was, to kind of, morale was, kind of not right. We were going through all of those things. We're trying to find some ways to find morale boosters or employee benefits that were not necessarily compensation based. And there were a couple of things that were brought out in each of those branch meetings. There were some commonalities. And so we assigned several staff members to tackle a couple of those different topics as they relate to policy, and do some research and come up with some proposals. So you're going to see some things that the staff members came up with. So I was really, really, really pleased with their work.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, on to a series of motions. Number 6, motion to approve contract with M&R Construction up to $35,000 for the restoration of the lower level of the Georgetown Library, pending proof of insurance.
Yeah,
Okay,
because I don't have their proof of insurance.
quick comment.
Yes.
We have to have that.
Oh, yeah,
No
absolutely.
exceptions.
Oh, right.
So we don't
See
okay
it
it?
too many times, Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And we haven't even gone that route with them yet because, we're still talking with. So this company would be replacing the company that was hired to do like some of the wall work and some other things before we furnished that last part of the children's area. For months now, they have been non-responsive. They don't answer phone calls.
The
They
original
rare-
contractor.
Yes.
What if
they-
they were not a business?
well, no, they have not gone through business. And they also, one of the things that our insurance company, who, negotiated with them for pricing, they said, okay, you take the furniture that's in the pod and you do the repair, whatever, cleaning of it. And well, we don't have our furniture back either, and we can't get them to answer. And we're just done with this company,
I have to say that happens more often than you think. That's that industry, that's just the way it is.
But they finally, when we started, they did finally do some response and they said, well, you need to pay us the insurance approved fee before we'll get your furniture back. And that really solidified it for me that we're not going to give them any more opportunity. So, we're searching, okay, who can do this work for us? Who can, and M&R Construction is the company that came in and did the remodel of the new chamber office at the corner of I and Bardwell.
yeah.
And they did a fantastic job. They were in there, they did it, without the hiccups problems, they did it on time. And so I said, let's talk to them, and so this is their proposal.
All right, let's go with the motion. Any other questions? Sorry.
I have a question. So are we confident that we're going to get the furniture back? And if not, what would be the sunk cost for that? Do we have to absorb that?
No, because I would have our insurance company get to them, and if they don't feel like they can do it on their own, then I'm gonna reach out to our prosecuting attorney and say,
Okay.
we're.
Yeah, that should be
tired.
That should be in mind.
And then on this estimate, I'm sure if they come up with a contract, because when I see that, because we went through this in our house,
Mhm.
depending on supply delays, that ended up being like 14 months for us, and we didn't have a contingency clause. Are they able to put that in?
A time can clock.
Yeah, like, based on percentage, because
Well,
it's very,
it is, but here's the thing, what our experience is okay, well, that's fine. We could say, all right, well, if you can't do, or in this time frame, but then we'll have to go out and find somebody else.
Yes.
to finish.
I'm perfectly, it's just,
Okay.
you know how like these contractors are.
Oh, yeah.
I know, yes, I know you drill very, very well.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know if it's worthwhile adding something in there, and then if they balk at it, then we're just going to take it out and deal with it anyway.
Well, if they did for the chamber and there were no issues, then.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is if we were in the city.
Yeah.
Might be a different story.
Might. Might not. Yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Timing.
You do it.
Okay, I'll do it. And you two can fight over who's gonna second it.
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Tina.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the contract for Robin Gilliam for custodial services at Fayetteville Perry Branch, effective 1/1 of 2023, 12/31/2023, in the amount of $85.20.
And that was about there was a slight increase. Now, see if I can find my notes about how much it was, maybe a 5% increase in the fee. I mean, it's a very
That's not
small
bad.
annual fee anyway.
Okay.
Not these days.
Yeah, yeah, but
500 for the year, that's cheap.
well, a couple times a week in this building, yeah.
But, I mean, she's excellent.
She is.
She is absolutely
Yeah,
excellent. As far as
won't-
if she sees ditches in
I
her
won't
sink,
move on
wash-
that one because I know her. so
Staying on that one.
She's a good one.
I move. We have a motion.
I have a second.
Mark,
Yes,
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the State Library of Ohio for 2023 Ohio Digital Library participation. The MOU not to exceed 15,000 up to 10,000 paid to SLO for collection services, and the balance in additional expenditures on digital resources.
So you did not get anything in your package, you probably noticed, because they haven't sent it yet. They usually are slipping it in December, and then it's really pushing what we have to do to get, everything in place. And so this is what I did last year at this time as well, was to say, we know what this, we know how this works, and it's really just a matter of us saying, how much money are we going to put? And so this is the money that we use to buy ebooks and that kind of thing that are accessible. And we had a little bit of discussion. I don't know if it was more than just with Heather, or if we did this.
We did it at managers meeting.
At the managers
We'll talk a
meeting,
little bit about.
where they like to do, so this collection services is where we pay the state a lump sum to say, here, you do the work of doing all of these ones that are the high holds, and
Right.
and it
Yeah.
saves us some time that way. But our managers really like to choose things that our patrons can have first access to, and so we will probably do less heavy on the collection services this year just for that reason. But maximum, we wouldn't exceed those maximums listed, just
And what is SLO?
State Library of Ohio. Sorry about that.
That's okay. And if you don't anticipate it to go over that, but if it did, you would just come and say, we need an additional 5,000. I make a motion.
And I was gonna say, and they just, as another piece of information, what they do is they base it upon, oh my goodness, the amount of materials expenditures that we did in the last year.
Is it like a percentage? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
2%.
Yeah, they have two strata. If you have us under a certain amount, you have some percentage, and if you spend over a certain amount in your regular collection development, it's a different percentage, but I'm blanking on those percentages, so. Yes, I'll second her motion.
Mark,
Yes,
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen.
yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Me,
Yes.
I have Harold listed.
Whoops, Harold, didn't correct that one.
Yeah, Tracy,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
and Tina.
Tina's the new Harold.
Yeah.
I have an uncle here.
Oh, there you go. Uncle Harold too.
all right, I need a motion to approve the contract with Porter Construction for general maintenance services at all branches for the period of 1/1/2023 to 12/31/23 for a fee of $5,280.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Do I get a prize if I?
You're on fire tonight. Mark,
Yes,
Barb.
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes,
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
I need a,
Before you go on, I just had a quick question. What are we doing for custodial services at the other buildings?
That's not finalized yet because we were going to be doing some bidding and changing, and so I don't have those, but I wanted to get done all the other ones that we knew were gonna go forward. But yeah, Keith's our general maintenance, comes over and looks at tripping spigots and things like that, and takes care of that, and bills is set. But the other contract that we had was all three of the other buildings.
Yeah.
And it appears that we may need to do this in piece and get rid of one of the buildings for January and then continue working, because I'm having a hard time finding people who will do three commercial.
Absolutely.
So we may just be removing one of the buildings from that other contract and going from there, so.
Okay.
number 10, need a motion to approve the contract renewal with Nick's Lawn and Landscaping for snow removal during 2022-2023 season. And salt lots 75 to 80 per location, shovels, salt, sidewalk, 16 to 19, 11 to 13, 22, 27, 15, 18. Breakdown of the 4 branches.
Yeah, so those are, so he changed the way that he displays the spread, you know, he's split out plowing and the plowing and the salting, because obviously salt is one of those huge cost, you know, factors.
I'm sure it won't.
So, yeah, it will be, those are the prices, and then the shovel and salting of the walks is obviously each of the buildings has different sizes of sidewalks, and so that's reflected there as well. So if we did our own salting of our own sidewalks, we'd save some money every time, and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
but then if
don't
the
want.
staff falls down.
Well,
trying
that's,
to
I was
do it,
gonna say, I'm not saying that I want that to happen, but you know, that just be aware that,
Yeah.
you know, he really has done a good job of keeping prices as reasonable as he can. I actually had a lengthy conversation with him the other day. Because there is no other conversation to be had but a lengthy one. And he always, and well, you know, he's really a nice guy. And but we are, I mean, we've been with Nick for
A long time.
yeah. And so, you know, we provide him a stability, always knowing, you know, how many people he needs to have and all of that kind of thing. But at the same time, because of that, he can also keep our prices pretty reasonable. And there were many years where he made no increases. So
He also likes to do things to help us out. We had like a pothole out here in our parking lot that was a huge pot. I mean, it was just growing. And when he took care of our pad for our shed, he just filled it in as free, just because like
Yeah.
we renewed the contract and he loves to help us.
Wow.
Oh, that was nice, yeah.
So how do you define an occurrence in the budget? Is it just, do you have like an appropriation, or does it fall under another budget item? Because you don't know whether it's gonna be, you could have one, you could have 20.
that's exactly right. So we have, what line item is? I think it's 720. I think it's, you know, but there is a place, and,
Okay.
you know, we kind of just go, you know,
Just kind of
what's
throw
an
it in there.
average, you know, did we have some snow last year? How much did it cost us? What, you know? And I think did we roll that into 390, but anyway, well, those are all gonna change anyway, because the auditor, so, but it's a guess, and that's why we do not appropriate all of the money.
I
that
was
we
gonna
get
say,
coming
you have
in.
that contingency to pull that if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Do we put a motion on?
I moved. Oh. She beat me, I second. Okay.
Everybody's so eager tonight. All right, well, Mark,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Okay, number 11, succession planning discussion.
Yeah, well, just, we finished with my evaluation last month, and so I just wanted, because we didn't spend any time on it in the evaluations, in the bullet evaluation, I just wanted to bring it back around to say, this is still something we need to be thinking about and working on. And, you know, now that we've gotten to this point where we had management give some feedback about things and fiscal input and my thoughts, I'm really thinking it's time for the board to be looking at it and saying, well, what about this? And giving the board input about what might need to be, if there's anything from your perspective that's missing, and then talk about, well, okay, so where do we go from here?
And it starts 2024. Right?
In the best of all possible worlds, in my estimation, although I'm looking at this going, you know, if I'm doing all these things and, you know, getting other people involved, how am I ever gonna do some of the stuff I'm supposed to be doing day to day? But yeah, it started 20, so, and next year, 2023, in a couple of months.
So the greatest thing in the whole world is that you have a document in front of you and we're discussing it.
Yes.
That's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, it's on our plates. I've looked it over. I like everything, Lynn. I mean, this is a process and it is gonna take a couple of years. But there's always a method to the madness. So, you know, what I would suggest is first meeting, January 2023. I would like to have that on the agenda.
Okay.
And then I think we need to allot some time, you know, if everybody could. So maybe, Lynn, in the December packet, include that document again.
Okay.
And then in the, you know, in the December meeting, you know, everybody should take some time to look at it. Maybe jot down some notes or some questions. And then, like Lynn said, she's right. I mean, it's gonna be 2023 and then it's gonna be game on. To start putting that together, then we can have a healthy discussion. If we put that on the agenda item for January.
For January.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
So do you?
Could we come in together without Lynn? And talk?
You know, we could, you know, we could
I just think it would
actually,
be easier for people to be,
you know, we could actually maybe do like a 6 o'clock,
yeah.
you know, January, and we'll call that succession planning meeting, 6 to 6:30,
Okay.
regular board meeting at 6:30. And then that would give us a chance to, you
Okay.
know,
So,
that's okay.
so do you plan on going through all of this in January? Do you think that's feasible?
Not in a half an hour.
Yeah. If you're doing God, not to put more work on Lynn.
Yeah, including.
Could we break these up into say, okay, January, we're gonna focus on legal and facilities. And maybe prepare a more in-depth, like, this is what we're thinking in regards to these, and maybe tackle 2 or 3 by June, and then June be ready to go to gear up for 24, because I just feel like it's a lot to digest. Like, I look at this and I'm overwhelmed.
Well, I'm sure you.
And I'm not even doing it, so,
Put it together.
yeah. So, I don't know,
Is
like,
that what your
I mean-
thought is for what the January meeting, your half hour is about, or is it real more about? So-
Okay, I should have qualified it more.
sorry,
So, January would be just kind of an overview
okay,
of what Lynn has put together.
okay,
And then, like you were saying, Tina,
Maybe break it
maybe
down.
from there,
start breaking it down.
we talk about, you know, how should we break it down?
Mhm.
How should we tackle it? But I think we should have a kickoff or a starter
Yeah.
to just look at it as a whole
Mhm.
and then start,
that makes
if you're okay with that.
Oh,
Would it be
absolutely.
useful to have a committee? Like a committee, as opposed to
So
like,
task force, like a, yeah, short term.
I don't know what you have to.
We can discuss
set
that
up
in
one.
January.
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could.
Yeah, we
President
could.
can appoint any.
something like.
So I was just envisioning just a general overview.
Right.
A general discussion. People will have maybe some notes or whatever to bring to the meeting, questions. And then we wrap up with, you know, should we have a committee? How, like Tina's saying, how we should break it down.
Got it.
I think 30 minutes should be plenty for that.
Okay.
And do you have any support documents that would help us, or or has this been amended? This is from October, so I don't know if it's changed or not, but
Yeah, this is just last.
or do you have like notes or anything that could help support us in this discussion, or just use this as our base?
I would say. Start with this and.
Okay.
I mean. The documentation, support documentation is probably all over the place.
Yeah.
And so it would be that kind of thing is like, okay, I really need to know this, this, and this, and I can say, okay, this is the best thing to give you to help you.
Yeah. Like when we talk about facilities, say
Right.
in February, then we may need some more documentation
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
I like it.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Okay.
Did you say something about more work?
Sorry.
And
But actually, so that leads me to think, as you're all talking about committees and that kind of thing. I don't see that I copied and pasted anything about a nominating committee for there.
As soon as he said January, I thought, hi there, we had to nominate somebody.
Because it will, this is November, and in the December meeting, the nominating committee needs to say, here's your slate of officers for the following year.
Right.
So you get,
Aren't you for 2 years?
Huh?
Aren't you for 2 years at least? At least.
Well, I'm on the Donald Trump program, which is unlimited term. I never leave. I never leave.
Okay.
so basically, yeah, I mean, you
As
need
is.
2 people to do
Before the December meeting.
yes.
Last year, we just talked real quick.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
You're okay?
Yes.
Is it?
No, I'm
who's-
not. I'm
yeah,
out. I'm out.
I'm vice president and I'm fine with it.
I'm secretary, I'm going.
See,
Somebody
We've
write
got- we've got our board.
Yeah.
Copy and pasting things because
We just ran through real quick.
So.
Yeah.
Well, you rock, Tracy.
Yeah,
We got it.
great. It's great. It's
Okay,
good.
is that part of the other business
That
category?
was.
That's it.
Okay.
And then that's it on my agenda.
Okay.
Wow,
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
wow. Okay, next meeting, Wednesday, December 14th.
Sardinia.
Yes,
Sardinia.
I don't know.
So it's not right, snowing.
Right,
Yes.
and my question, I almost put 6 o'clock with a question mark. I didn't know if you wanted to try and get going a half an hour earlier, because not only do we do the December meeting, but we also do the organizational meeting for
Yeah.
Is
January.
that, like,
Immediately
Planning for-
following.
Yeah, it's pretty much a road,
6 o'clock.
affirm this, appoint the fiscal officer, executive director, and wages, and that's, you know.
Okay.
So that one goes pretty quickly,
Yeah,
but
like
it,
10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most.
yeah.
And it's right after the other meeting, so we
Yeah,
have to
we can-
finish up the December business. And then instead of
Yeah.
doing it in January, while we're sitting there, we just do it.
If
Because
we wait till January, we have to do it before the 15th.
So we'll make it at 6 then?
Well, we would be.
if you want, if that's reasonable, I mean, that's.
No, no.
Yeah. So absolutely.
No,
Sardinia.
Yours, no, they're scheduling.
6 AM.
Okay, so we'll go 6. I won't be there at 6 AM.
Why not?
AM.
That's when I wants to do it.
Get this back on.
I do need it back. Did everybody have a chance to look at the directory and check their information? You haven't done it yet? Okay. Just.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I have
I
only
put
copied-
mine.
I was supposed to pass it.
yeah, we were all looking at it.
Okay.
I'm done at the end.
We're done here, right? You
Yes,
finished?
I think
Okay.
Michelle will look at
No,
it,
yeah, yeah, I did. I'm 80. I've got them. I have things to do, and I really enjoyed this.
You got.
It's an absolute blast. Karen.
And we're done.
There we go.
It is, and I met really neat people. What? Yeah, so Heather's got to find some really good person that gets along with Mark. Sure.
Right there.
Yes.
Okay. Are we moving our meeting to the 14th?
Yeah, well, yes, so
We did that a while back. We did that. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to get, yes, because it's encroaching upon the holidays. If we're going till the next week. So it is a week earlier than the normal. It's the second Wednesday and not the third Wednesday, but that will get everybody
Okay.
done.
That's all right. That month is so busy anyway.
Trust me.
It was
So it's 6 o'clock on the 14th.
6 o'clock on December 14th.
Okay.
So you
Kathleen.
may.
We had a 6 on the
not get your
18th.
statistics. And, you know, I'm pushing the managers to get things to me early, but we'll see how that goes. I may be bringing some of those documents that aren't gonna take too long for you to review.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I guess everybody's heading home because
Did
it's
you
something.
adjourn?
Yeah.
No. Pumpkin bug trees.
It's official.
Meeting.